Live, getting results. This is News 6 at 6.
Tonight, the News 6 Hurricane Phone Bank is back. Volunteers are here to answer your questions about power, shelters, sandbags, and more. You can call the number on your screen, 888-436-6665.
Now at 6, from restoring power to waterlogged homes, Florida is now in recovery mode. Tonight, power crews, tree cutting crews, and first responders are out doing everything they can to help you after Irma. This is News 6 at 6. I'm Ginger Gadsden.
And I'm Lisa Bell. Matt Austin is off tonight. President Donald Trump is expected to visit Florida on Thursday to see the damage. And tonight, our team is spread out across Central Florida, from Osceola to Orange to Volusia and Brevard. They are working to get you results. We begin with News 6's Eric Von Enken live in Orlando with new details on the effort to restore the power to more than 5 million people who are still in the dark tonight. Eric?
And Lisa, Duke Energy says to try and do that, they now have an additional 7,000 people, boots on the ground tonight, workers from all over the country coming here to Central Florida to fan out into the neighborhoods and to try and pick up the pace a little bit to get your power back on a little bit quicker. They just got power back on to this intersection. We're at Edgewater and Lee about 2 hours ago, but look at the flashing red lights there. You see, I don't know if it's really any better. We've seen lots of people running out of patience. We're hearing lots of people honking and seeing way too many close calls out here. Earlier this afternoon, they got power back on in parts. You see that? Yeah. Got power back on in parts of western Orange County, right around Orla Vista. That's where we were earlier.
It took all day for this Duke Energy crew just to get to this point, actually repairing the snapped power line. Why?
Because everybody's always asking the same thing you do because they see us running around. We go to every open point with their switches. We can open it, place a tag so people know not to close, so no backfeed comes back on the line we're working on.
Lineman Josh Wilson says first they have to figure out what's broken and where. Like here along Powers Drive in Orlando's Orla Vista neighborhood, one of the hardest hit. Under all of this debris on the sidewalk is a power line that fell into the street. Fortunately, it's dead, but the linemen didn't know that for sure. So second, they have to cut the power from the feeder line to the smaller lines, and then they have to ground the lines. Also because a generator could be plugged into somebody's wall outlet and backfeeding into the power lines.
So when you get to a neighborhood and you're walking around, that's what you're doing?
Correct.
You are working?
We're working. Like we come to this and say, where are you going? The work's here. It is here. But we have to go do all that before we can even get started.
Josh says finally, only when it's safe and clear can they start running new lines so they can turn the power back on to your house.
And the linemen want me to remind you tonight, if you are using a generator or you know somebody who is, unless it's installed by an electrician, that's something else. If it's one of those small little portable things that has the outlets on the side, plug it directly into the things you're powering, like your fridge or your lights or your fan, not into the wall. And they say make sure you flip off that main breaker because that will protect them when they're trying to get power back onto you at your house. Lisa.
Yeah, we just got an urgent alert from Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs about that. Make sure you use your generators outside. Eric, thank you. In a minute, we'll show you more on how to safely use a generator and what can happen if you don't. We have also posted Florida's power outage map on clickorlando.com if you'd like to see it. Also, we've listed the power company's phone numbers inside the story. They are also scrolling on the bottom of your screen.
And tonight, Brevard County is still a mess after Hurricane Irma. Sky 6 found roofs torn off, homes left a mess. And with almost 200,000 people in the county without power, many are now using generators. But there is a right way and a wrong way to use one. News 6's Vanessa Ariza joins us now live in Brevard County. Vanessa, at 5:30, we had breaking news on 3 people who were taken to the hospital for carbon monoxide poisoning. And you spoke to a family who's in the hospital because of the same reason.
That's right, Ginger. They were sleeping in this house last night. The homeowner says that he was fearful of having his generator stolen, so he left it inside of his garage there. He had the door open, he had the windows open. He said he thought that there was enough ventilation, but clearly there was not, and it very likely that move could have cost him and his family their lives.
And we had the fan pushing all the air, the hot air over there. And then they thought it would be a good idea to open that to get all the fumes in the house.
Josh Mattern slept at his friend's house last night. Had he not, he would have been in the hospital with the rest of his family.
Yeah, I could have been sick too, but then I'd be in the hospital. So I'm really, really glad I actually spent the night at my friend's house.
His dad, Albert, was in this house with 7 other people last night. Because he didn't want anyone to steal the generator, he left it in the garage with windows and the door open.
It wasn't a orders decision, but it really is. I mean, thankfully, nobody else did it. I could have thought a little more about the ventilation in general, but I thought I had it cleared. I thought I had enough ventilation for everybody. I guess not.
His body somehow woke him up. Because of the carbon monoxide exposure, he lost his balance and hit his head. Fire rescue was called around 8 o'clock this morning. Any longer, and Battalion Chief Greg Sutton says they could have died.
All that we can surmise is it was just not quite enough for the lethal range of carbon monoxide. Maybe the ventilation had helped somewhat.
I am actually still scared, but I'm just thankful that they're not dead.
The battalion chief who you heard there tells me that they also had 2 dogs inside of this house. They were able to treat them with oxygen. They also had 2 pet snakes. The battalion chief says they don't really know how to treat pet snakes with oxygen. So right now they don't really know how they're doing. But as far as the family, they're hoping to come back home here tomorrow. Ginger.
Oh, that is the best news possible. Vanessa Ariza reporting live for us in Brevard County. Thank you. And News 6 just got to this Orlando home where we have learned 6 people are being treated for carbon monoxide poisoning. 3 people are now at Florida Hospital Orlando. It is not known how the other 3 people are doing. This is in Eggleston Avenue. Orange County Fire Rescue is investigating. And if you would like to review generator safety tips and share this with your family and friends, go to our homepage, click Orlando.com. We've posted the safety tips inside the story about the family poisoned by carbon monoxide.
Pulled from Irma's floodwaters tonight, around 400 people living in an assisted living facility in Kissimmee are now on dry land after being rescued and loaded on a bus. The staff at the Good Samaritan Society in Kissimmee Village says they started evacuating residents last night once that water started rising. News 6's Eric Sandoval is in Osceola County tonight and has more on the flooding. Eric?
Yeah, Lisa, I want to get right to these floodwaters. This is Marsh Road and at Pleasant Hill Road here in the Kissimmee area. They've been seeing the waters rising here ever since Irma passed over yesterday, and they continue to rise. We've seen them rise just a little bit in the time that we've been here. This is a street of about 8 homes, but the real big concern is that assisted living facility right on the other side of these homes that you were mentioning. We have some video from Sky 6 to show you of the rescue that is going on as we speak there. I saw 2 FWC airboats just go into the water just a couple minutes ago to get more people who are inside this facility. Now, some are refusing to go. Others are just waiting for the boats to bring them to safety. Emergency management officials say they've already evacuated those 400 residents you mentioned, and that number is going to continue to climb as the evening progresses. Ambulances are standing by in the shopping center right across the street. School buses are also standing by as well. Now, back out here live, I just spoke with a resident who lives inside this house. She says she and her husband are trying to get everything out that they can before the floodwaters just swallow up their entire home. Now, ever since my live shot at 5 o'clock, I've gotten a few emails from viewers who are asking how they can find out if their loved ones have actually been taken out of this assisted living facility. I went and asked emergency management, and I have a number for you. That number is area code 407-742-0000. They said call that number. It's the Osceola Citizens Information Line. Call that number, leave your name, leave your number, and the fact that you have loved ones inside Kissimmee Villages here, and they will call you back and let you know where your loved one has been evacuated to. If you missed that number, I'm posting it right now on my Facebook page, Eric Sandoval News. Live in Kissimmee, Eric Sandoval, News 6.
Eric, thank you.
Another area dealing with flooding issues tonight, Volusia County.
Irma's storm surge forced water into a lot of people's homes in Edgewater, and that is where News 6's Lauren Korn joins us live. And Lauren, you spoke with homeowners today who are now surveying the damage.
Oh, yeah, and there's a lot of damage out here, and this used to be full of water, 3 to 4 feet. Neighbors are now cleaning out. Luckily, the water's gone out of their home, but the mess is still behind. Some of the homes completely flooded out. They have to toss away everything. I was in this neighborhood and then another neighborhood across the street, and they all said it wasn't from the hurricane, it's from the storm surge from the canal, and it just overflowed and now into their homes. They're dealing with the flooding, the effects of the flooding. They're dealing with no electricity and no power.
Like the combo platter, whatever could float is in my front yard.
Dan Zodi shows us his torn off roof, pieces of dock pilings, and even parts of a floating dock.
It was a storm surge that pretty much just pushed everything right in.
And flooded many neighborhoods in Edgewater.
But I don't know if you can see the ripples in the ground that was created by the storm surge.
Zodi says his home survived hurricanes since the 70s, but it's now saturated with rainwater that crept in through the roof. Zodi is not alone. Greg Wheeler lives on the other side of US 1.
We tried to save some by putting the furniture up on blocks, and the blocks actually got completely covered by water.
Also due to the storm surge from the overflowing canal. There's video of inside Wheeler's house 2 days ago.
I actually would take a flashlight and look down at the water and say, yep, the tide's still coming in.
Now residents are working around the clock to dry out and clean up.
I should also note what comes with the water. Wheeler says are these water moccasins. Those are pretty deadly. Shouldn't go near them. And he says there's tons of them. There were tons of them over here, so something to watch out for. He also says that his home, they just finished repairing it from Hurricane Matthew, 6 months ago, and now they have to start all over again. But he says that's what you got to do if you live in Florida. Back to you.
It is a big mess out there. Lauren Korn reporting live for us tonight. Thank you. And Central Florida is just one of the many areas affected by Irma.
Yeah, along with South Florida, North Florida is also dealing with some bad damage, including Jacksonville. A look at the historic flooding coming up. Tom.
Take a look over my shoulder. All the areas you see in green, that's not rain. Those are flood zones. I'll be right back. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about when rain comes back, and then we'll look ahead all the way to your weekend.
Also ahead at 6, News 6 is getting answers about an Orange County neighborhood that flooded during Irma. Mike.
This is the Orlo Vista neighborhood where the National Guard had to rescue more than 100 people from these homes. Coming up next, we will take you inside one of these waterlogged houses.
You're watching News 6 at 6, getting results. We'll be right back.
Sponsored by Florida Hospital, ranked #1 in Orlando by U.S. News and World Report again. Live with Matt Austin, Lisa Bell, Julie Broughton. Weather with Chief Meteorologist Tom Sorrells and Meteorologist Candace Campos. And sports with Jamie Say. This is News 6 at 6. Getting results.
More than $24 million. That's how much it's expected to cost to clean up just Orange County. And one of the hardest hit areas, the Orla Vista neighborhood, flooding from Irma forced people out of their homes. News 6 investigator Mike DeForest went back out to Orange County neighborhood today. And Mike, the water is starting to go down, but homeowners are staying there tonight. What are they telling you?
There's some homeowners staying here. Unfortunately, really, most of these homes are unlivable for now. So you'll recall, this is the neighborhood where on the night of Hurricane Irma, the National Guard had to come in here and rescue more than 100 people. Tonight, we've been out here for just a few hours, and we've noticed that the water has started to recede. It's being pumped towards Shingle Creek. But for some people, they're just not able to come back to their homes.
And the back rooms will come even deeper.
Julius Amos will not be living in his Orlo Vista home anytime soon, if ever again. A line on the wall shows just how high the water rose here yesterday. Many of Amos's belongings are soaked and likely ruined.
Me and my wife live here, and I'm 78 and she's 71, and so we just got to start over. That's all we can do.
This part of Orlo Vista has a long history of flooding. Orange County officials say these homes were built here before modern stormwater retention ponds. Yet Amos says in the 25 years he's lived here, floodwaters have never reached his house.
It just back up in the road, and maybe edge up my driveway a few times, but this first time they ever backed out like this.
Amos thinks county officials should have done more to prevent this flooding.
Orange County Mayor Teresa Jacobs insists they tried.
Just like those people who have pools were draining their pools to create more capacity so you didn't have flooding, this was our big pool.
Jacobs says the county began draining a nearby lake to make room for additional water that could be brought by Irma. But the mayor believes the amount of rain that fell naturally overwhelmed the drainage system here.
I got to say, for the folks that were in charge of that, they did what they needed to do. They did their best. They pumped as early as they knew this storm was coming.
You can also see that water line right here. Amos lost not one, not two, but 3 vehicles, likely damaged completely. He and his wife are staying with family tonight. A lot of the people in this neighborhood are having to fight it out in shelters. Reporting live in Orange County, Mike DeForest, News 6.
Just devastating. Thank you, Mike.
North of us, Jacksonville is dealing with some of its worst flooding in more than 150 years. The storm surge led to more than 300 rescues yesterday. Take a look. The St. Johns River is expected to keep rising in the coming days. Jacksonville's mayor says it could take days before all the water recedes.
If this wasn't my job, I would have left this city days ago. I wouldn't have been here for this storm.
And just south of Jacksonville in St. Johns County, the beachfront home collapsed onto the dunes. It's just one of the many homes that are now destroyed because of Irma. You know, we've been talking about this, Ginger. The death toll also continuing to go up. Just saw an alert from Marion County. We've been talking about the intersections where there's no power. There was a fatal crash there at one of those intersections.
We've been afraid that more of this would start happening because people just don't know how to treat those traffic lights that aren't working. We say it over and over again. It's a 4-way stop. Everybody stop and then just proceed from there.
A lot of problems all across the state. The good news, the weather now, not one of our problems.
Yeah, looking better. That's why I'm not the lead anymore. I came to the afternoon meeting. They're like,
who are you?
You're not the lead anymore. I'm like, thank you, Lordy. Lordy. All right, I want to start with one storm pin I've got for you right now. JMN and Coco sent this one in. It's kind of indicative of what we've all been going through. Down trees, smashing things. It's just been tragic how much damage has happened here in Central Florida. All right, satellite and radar together right now. Not a big deal going on. Everything has gone our way. So let's check the tropics real quick. Hurricane Jose has been just at the forefront of everyone's mind. It's been calling into the Weather Center in the last couple of days. I still believe it's a big fish storm. Here's the track it's going to take. 75-mile-per-hour minimum Category 1 hurricane right now. Over the next 5 days, it does retrograde, comes this way, and then turns around and goes that way, up there to the North Atlantic, gaining latitude each and every moment after it does the curlicue turn. So I think things are going to totally go our way. If you live in a green zone here, that means you have a flood warning until further notice. All over the western side of Sumter County, all over the St. Johns River, all over Osceola County. Flood warnings along the shingle there until further notice. It's going to take days, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 3 for all this water to drain away. Orlando Health Camera, 87 degrees now with relative humidity at 49%. Temps are all in the 80s now. 6 degrees warmer than yesterday at the same time, but still, you know, not too shabby. It's kind of dry. It's breezy. I think it actually feels great outside, and the cloud cover, it's pretty thin. So during the day tomorrow, all that dry air in place keeps our rain chances pretty low, like about 20% low. I really believe you're going to have to hang on until Friday before you start to see a return to bigger rain. Low tonight, 74. Here's tomorrow.
Your forecast brought to you by Del Air Heating and Air Conditioning.
By lunchtime tomorrow, 85, the daytime high 92. Here is the week ahead. We hit 92 for your high with a low rain chance. Rain chance Thursday to Friday ramping back up to 50%. And then come the weekend, we're average on temps and we're average on rain chances.
All right. You know it's great news because Tom's not the lead anymore, and
sports
anchor Jamie Say is here.
However, I don't know if this is great news, okay? Because high school football is still up in the air this week. It might get canceled again for the second Friday in a row. And, you know, and it's hard to play when stadium lights have crashed on your field. You're not going to believe the picture. Well, you probably won't believe the picture I'm going to show you from one area high school coming up. But the Gator game, it's on this Saturday. Florida hosts Tennessee. Gators seeking redemption. I'll look back at last year's tumble in Tennessee next.
All right, Jamie, 1 week ago today, we were talking about teams having to reschedule for Thursday night.
Right, and now, you know, it looks like for the second week in a row, we're probably not going to have high school football this Friday. Definitely not in Seminole County. Now, it's up to each school whether to play this Friday night or not. But I want to show you this picture, okay? It's hard to play when your field looks like this.
Wow.
You know, this is West Orange High School's football field. A set of stadium lights came crashing down on the bleachers in the field. The Warriors are scheduled to host Timber Creek this Friday. West Orange football did tweet out today that it was not sure if it was still playing this week. That's unfortunate. But it is game on for the Gators. 24th ranked Florida will host rival Tennessee as scheduled this Saturday at 3:30 at the Swamp. And you can watch it right here on News 6. It's the home opener for the Gators, and they are going for revenge. Number one for this. Over the weekend, some Vols fan had some fun with the Steve Spurrier statue outside Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. I bet the head ball coach loved coming to work to see that. Spurrier is a consultant for Florida's athletic department. I know some of the Gator football players saw it too, probably didn't like it. Gators are also going for redemption because they let a 21-3 lead get away last year in Knoxville. The Volunteers rallied to win big, 38-28. Florida could not do anything in the second half against Tennessee a season ago, and its 11-year winning streak over the Vols ended. You got to think the Gators are still hot about that. Watch this year's edition again from the Swamp here on News 6. It's the SEC Game of the Week, 3:30 kickoff right here. Now, if you didn't hear, UCF's home game with Georgia Tech this Saturday has been called off. And the reason why Matt Austin is probably pretty bummed out, the Florida State-Miami game has been pushed to October 7th. That's 2 weeks without the Seminoles. But Noel Nation did get a dose of Dalvin last night during the Vikings-Saints game on Monday Night Football. Florida State's all-time leading rusher made his NFL debut, and it was a smashing success. Cook ran for 127 yards to set the Vikings record for most rushing yards in a debut. 22 carries in the win. And in Denver, a former Olympia High School quarterback impressed. Trevor Siemian led the Broncos to a 24-21 victory over the Chargers. Siemian, who grew up in Orlando, threw 2 touchdown passes, ran for another in his season opener. Second season starting for the Broncos, he beat out Paxton Lynch, another Central Florida guy, to win the job. But Siemian certainly looked good last night, as did Dalvin Cook on Monday Night Football.
Very good.
Thanks, Jamie. We'll be right back.